Okay, so Dolores, it is a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for joining the Launching Your Virtual Assistant event that we have scheduled for today. And so I'm going to go ahead and do the sharing of my screen.
Okay.
And hopefully you'll be able to see just a moment. Okay, can you see the PowerPoint? Okay,
Yes.
perfect. All right, great. So again, welcome to the Virtual Assistant, Launching Your Virtual Assistant Business. I am Monica Bounds, and I'm actually the owner of MAB Virtual Solutions, and also Monica Shatik, which is an online boutique. But I've also been with PGCC since 2015 as adjunct faculty. And I also was a participant in the BOSS program, so the Business Owner Success Series program that is through PGCC. So I definitely encourage that, but completed my certificate. And so that's just a brief background about me. I have actually been doing administrative support work for over 20 years, but I actually launched my business in 2014, so prior to the pandemic. And that was actually my first business that I launched. And then I launched Monica Shatik 3 years later. So the virtual assistant business started prior to my online boutique, but just wanted to share that with you too as well. And so what we are going to be covering during our session today is what I would first like to call by the numbers. We'll also talk about what is a virtual assistant? I think it's important to understand what actually a virtual assistant does. And then what are some of the advantages of you pursuing the whole virtual assistant career or industry? The advantages for you as a VA, which we commonly refer to virtual assistants as, and then also what are some of the advantages for the client? Because there's always that, well, what's in it for me? So we'll talk about it from both sides. And then it's important to know what skills, the equipment, resources, does a virtual assistant need in order to get started? So we'll also cover those things. And then some of the services that you're able to provide. So I'm going to provide like a list of services. And part of what I actually share is that the services that you can provide to clients is endless, and so we'll talk about that. And then determining your rates, we'll also discuss what are some of the things that you can think of as you're launching your business and the rates that you'd like to charge. Marketing and branding, which they are two totally different things, but both of them are definitely important as you think about launching your VA business. And then just some business basics, and you'll hear me definitely plug the college in terms of the BOSS program, because a lot of the information when it comes to just the overall structure of your business, there's classes through PGCC for the accounting. There's also, the business plan, marketing. And so it's really important that as you think about launching your virtual assistant business, that you have these key structures in place with regard to the business basics. Your plan, what you're going to name, the legal structure, licenses and permits, filing and paying taxes, insurance agreements. So all of those things are definitely important as you think about launching your business. So these are just a list of the things that we will cover on today. So one of the things with regard to by the numbers, I think it's very important just to highlight this screen here, because it really just shares the importance and also just the abundance of new business applications alone in 2021. So there were 5.4 million new business applications that were filed, and that's according to the US Census Bureau. And that's definitely up, which you can see 4.4 million in 2020. So it just lets you know, and again, I'll show you a screen of kind of the breakdown, but I think it's important by the numbers. If you're familiar with Shark Tank or you watch that, they always want you to know your numbers. So when you're thinking about, just the industry overall, when it comes to your business, it's important to know the numbers and just, kind of what's going on in the industry itself. And then there are more than 31 million entrepreneurs in the US, and that's according to Global Entrepreneurship Monitor. And then 55% of adults in the US have started at least one business in their lifetime. And then you'll also see that 26% of adults in the US have started two or more businesses in their lifetime. And so I can just tell you, from my experience in launching the virtual assistant business and then doing the online boutique second, that you'll see that entrepreneurs, they're always thinking about, okay, I've launched one business, what would be another avenue in terms of another business that I would be interested in doing. So just wanted to also draw a circle around those two stats there too as well. Then the next slide, and it's taken a moment for it to kind of catch up. So I'm trying to progress to the next page. So hold on one second. Okay, there we go. And so entrepreneurs in the US cite wanting to be their own boss as the top motivation for starting a business. And so, I don't know about you, but, there's something to be said about having something that's your own, whether that's a legacy that you're actually wanting to do as far as supporting of your family. And we'll talk about, what are some of the reasons that you could launch your virtual assistant business and some of the advantages to you as the VA. But, wanting to be your own boss is definitely ranking up there when people think about why they want to start their business. Other top motivations include pursuing a passion. So you'll see 39% there, wanting to exit corporate America, 25%. And I will just say that you don't necessarily have to launch corporate America if you enjoy your job. If it's just thinking about, what are some different avenues or multiple streams of income, this is another thing that you can actually consider. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to exit. Taking advantage of a new opportunity, that's 25%. And then finding new work after being laid off, 11% there. And you know that with the pandemic, that was something that actually happened, which actually triggered some of those numbers that we looked at on the previous slide. And then 92% of small business owners in the US say that they don't regret starting a business. So if there's any takeaway that you get from today, which I hope there'll be several, but definitely think about, those that have entered into the whole business and entrepreneurship, 92% of them say that they don't regret it. And so that's a very high number. So I just want you to keep that in mind as we're going through today. So this slide here, one of the things that I definitely wanted to point out is that the growth in annual total business applications by sector, and this is 2019 to 2021. If you see that fourth line down is administrative support, and that's 55%. And I want to draw a circle around that because that is part of the virtual assistant world. So think about that as we talked about the numbers from before, that is part of this whole sector. So that's great. 55% is great for admin and support. And then you'll also see professional services is 38%. And so as you think about a virtual assistant, and depending on the type of services that you do provide, they are considered professional services. And so that's another great area that we can also be thankful for as it relates to the numbers as well. So I just wanted to draw a circle around those two so that you can see all of these and how they work kind of in tandem with the VA business. So what exactly is a virtual assistant? So a virtual assistant provides professional, administrative, technical, or creative support to clients remotely. And this can be done from a home office or anywhere that you have access to the resources, computer, internet, to provide services. And so I was a VA working, with this type of structure prior to the pandemic. And so we know that with the pandemic, there's definitely been a shift with regard to being able to work remotely. And so the beauty of the whole virtual assistant world is wherever you can plug in, whether that's with a laptop, you can be a virtual assistant providing support to your clients. I'll share this quick story with you. One of my best friend, she would always travel to a conference yearly. And so I would always go with her because I'm like, well, I'm not participating in the conference, but I can still go and provide support to my clients regardless of where I am. And so that is definitely one of the things that I would say about being a virtual assistant is that you are able to provide your support to clients from anywhere in the world. So what are some of the advantages for a virtual assistant, and just as a business owner in general? So entrepreneurship, by the numbers, like we talked about earlier, just having that overall flexibility with regard to scheduling is important. That really kind of ties into that last bullet point there, that you're able to manage family commitments. You can have that work-life balance. One of the things that I definitely love about the virtual assistant industry, I love supporting and helping my clients, but it also provides me an opportunity to utilize my skills and contribute my ideas. So I definitely believe in partnering with clients, gravitating towards their vision and mission. And it's great that you're able to support them in that and help them achieve their goals. And I've already discussed that you can provide support from the comfort of your own home or remote location, and you get to create your own schedule. And so that's the whole beauty of it too. You can determine how many clients you'd like to take on. If you'd like to do your virtual assistant business part-time, full-time, that's going to be all things that you can decide. And that's the whole beauty of business entrepreneurship. And then additional income. So you get a chance to earn more income, different streams of income. It's definitely something to think about these days. And then we've already mentioned managing family commitments. So what are some of the advantages for clients? Because it's always important as we think about the advantages to ourselves, clients also want to know what's in it for them. And these are some of the things that when you think about kind of the whole marketing and branding behind your actual virtual assistant business, this is some of the things that you can actually mention to clients. So it's small and mid-sized businesses, they have a chance to have dedicated support without the expense of hiring a full-time in-house employee. And so I actually work in the HR talent management field. And so there's definitely a difference in having someone that's full-time in-house versus someone that is actually working remotely, or they're a contractor or independent consultant. And so that is going to be an advantage, for the client. It's a cost savings. So if you think about having a full-time employee versus a virtual assistant, there's all these taxes, there's benefits, there's all these things that are associated with having a full-time in-house employee. And these are some of the things that you can definitely market to your clients when you think about what's in it for them, the cost savings. You help your clients gain assistance in reaching their goals faster. So that's definitely an advantage. You're partnering with your clients, supporting, promoting their brand or service, outsourcing. We hear this all the time, especially now that companies, organizations are looking for ways to outsource. And as a virtual assistant, this is where you can support that business. Balance between professional and personal life. So just as that is also an advantage for the virtual assistant, that is an advantage for the client too as well, and flexibility. So what skills do you need? Of course, excellent communication, written and verbal, because it's virtual, right? And so even if you never see your client, then you would want to ensure that you're able to communicate effectively with them. Time management, organization, prioritization, customer service, attention to detail. Technology and software skills are definitely important. And I always draw a circle around this because it really depends on, what are some of the platforms that your client works on. If you're a virtual assistant that can provide accounting services or support, then one of the platforms that you might work from would be QuickBooks. Or if you're a virtual assistant that provides, business development support, then one of the platforms that you might utilize would be a Salesforce or a HubSpot. So some of these things are dependent upon what your client actually utilizes in the way of software and technology. And then that segues into our last bullet here, industry specific, relative to the services that you provide to clients. So these are just some of the skills that you would need as a virtual assistant. And so the next thing is, what equipment do you need? So I kind of talked about, if you want to provide remote support, then having a laptop just to be able to, hey, let's say you're in the Cayman Islands and you're still working on, some support for a client, you could do that. Hopefully you're taking a vacation, but if you're in the Cayman Islands and you just need to provide some support, you could do that as a virtual assistant with the laptop as part of your equipment. A printer, you might need that just depending on the type of support that you provide to your clients. Having internet access, phone capability, fax, going back to the software programs that I mentioned, and then the equipment that's going to be relative to the services that you provide to your client. So what other items do you need? So it's very important as you're launching your virtual assistant business, you're thinking about some of the things that in terms of just overall, skills, advantages for the client, but the things that you'll need in order to launch would be a website. You'll want to think about having a designated email address, business cards, having your own bio. It's definitely important to have a social media presence. One of my very first clients actually found me on Instagram. And so it's definitely important that you do have some kind of presence on social media. Flyers, brochures, or postcards, whichever one you think that would be most relevant to your business, but you definitely want to have some type of marketing materials. And so that could be actually an e-brochure. It could be an e-flyer, but you just definitely want to think about that as you assess kind of what other items you might need. And then reference materials. It's always great to have, just even the information that I shared with you earlier about by the numbers and, the importance of, how many people have actually started and launched their business. So, all of those things are going to be helpful and work in tandem with you launching your business. And then I always think it's important to journal your journey, especially as you're getting started and you navigate through your business. You want to see what progress you've made in like a month, 3 months, 6 months. And so again, it's also important too that if you have some additional things that you'd like to do with your business, just keeping a record of that. And so journaling is definitely helpful as you launch your business and beyond. So what are some of the services that you can provide? And by no means is this list exhaustive, but it does give you an idea of what are some of the services as a virtual assistant that you could provide to your clients. So, data entry, editing, if you're technical, the podcast services, graphics design, website design and maintenance, kind of falls a little bit under IT, project management, social media management, blogging, payroll, HR, marketing, PR. And this list goes on and on and on. Calendar management, email management, travel, event and meeting planning. And so by no means, as I mentioned, is this list exhaustive, but it at least just gives you an idea of what are some of the services that are available that you could provide. Additionally, if there is a specific skill set that you have, then that is a service that you can actually provide to your clients. And so one of the things that I've definitely enjoyed as I've taught the class at the college is just meeting students from various backgrounds and just the different knowledge base that they have and the skills and experience. And so they have actually launched their businesses based upon their skill sets. And so those are the things that you want to keep in mind as well. So who are your ideal clients? So once you've launched your business or as you're thinking about it, you want to know, okay, well, who can I target, to provide virtual assistant support to? And so that could be other business owners. So remember when we talked about by the numbers at the very beginning that there were 5.4 million new business applications in 2021. So there's our potential clients. So other executives, individuals, accountants, doctors, lawyers, government agencies, nonprofit organizations, coaches, speakers. It could be authors, it could be real estate professionals, other consultants. And so the list really goes on and on with regard to who your ideal clients are. If you are someone that has a particular, for example, area of expertise, let's say it's real estate, or you work closely, with nonprofits, then those would be the type of clients that you could potentially target. So determining your rates, I always hear, so, what should I charge? And, I'm in this to make money. And of course, we definitely want to take that into consideration as we launch. And so if you're doing it part-time or full-time, that's going to dictate, what you would, well, I don't want to say dictate, but that will need to be considered as you think about what your rates are. And so if you're doing it full-time, then you might have to, have your own medical expenses or fund your retirement. But let's say if you're doing this and you have a full-time role, then maybe you're doing it on a part-time basis. And so your rates might not necessarily need to cover that. But any type of equipment or maintenance cost, office supplies, expenses. So, your phone that you're using for your business, or the internet, those are other things that can be factored into determining your rates. Your marketing expenses, so having a website, print advertising, business cards, all of these things cost, but this can also be thought about as you think about your rates. And then also, as you're getting into your business, you've launched it, your rates should also cover the basics with profit left so that you're able to pay yourself. And so your rates as a virtual assistant could be hourly, they could be retainer, they could be project or service based. And so if you, let's say are working on a social media campaign, then that could be a package that you offer as it relates to types of services. It might not necessarily be on an hourly basis, but maybe you have that categorized as project or service. So marketing, I think it's very important, because as a business owner, whether or not that's virtual assistant or something else, you're definitely going to have to market your business. And so this definition is from the American Marketing Association. And marketing is the activity, set of institutions and processes for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offerings that have value for customers, clients, partners, and the society at large. So when we think about marketing, it's important that just as you develop a business plan for your business, you want to also have a marketing plan as well, because it's important so that you're able to get your business in the face of clients, in the front of the industry. And so the way to do that is with a plan to market. And then I always say you want to have an elevator pitch. I always refer to Shark Tank because it's a great show to watch. Just as you think about, how those that are on Shark Tank pitch their business. And so as you're networking or you're with your ideal client, let's say at a conference, you want to have an elevator pitch so that they know, what your business is about, how you can support them, and why they should do business with you. Another way to market your business is through networking, building relationships. Having an informative and structured website, it's definitely important to have a website. I like to say that there's a way for you to make money while you sleep, and having a website is definitely one of those. Word of mouth. I love that customers are your word of mouth promotion, because they definitely are. And so that's another way to market your business, through referrals, leveraging existing relationships, joining different associations. The whole VA industry has associations that you can become a part of. And then email, have a mailing list. And then creating a blog is definitely a way to get your voice out there and your information into the market. And so that's another way for you to market your VA business. Then branding. So branding is actually different than marketing. It's the process involved in creating a unique name and image for a product in the consumer's mind. And that's mainly through advertising campaigns with a consistent theme, Branding aims to establish a significant differentiated presence in the market that attracts and retains loyal customers. And this is from the Business Dictionary. And I will just share with you, by no means can we cover every single thing in this time that we do have today, because there's so much more from what I'm just sharing with you. So we'll talk about at the very end that, of course, the class, as you know, is available through the college. But branding is so important, and consistency is definitely the key with branding. It takes time to build. And so as you launch your business, you also want to be cognizant of your brands and think about, what is the image or the overall culture that you want to create or cultivate in the market. And so it's going to include your total packaging. So, whatever logo you create, your slogan, if you have a tagline. My tagline happens to be partnership, investments, and solutions. And so, again, what does that look like for your business, the brand that you want to put out in the market? And then the voice of your overall business, your niche, and what makes your business stand out. So these are all of the things that are definitely important with regard to branding. Direct customer interaction and how you engage with your followers, whether or not they're on social media, connections that you have, whether that's through your email, your mailing list, any type of prospects. These are all things that help support branding your VA business. Your brand is how you communicate. And it takes, again, I can't stress this enough, that it takes time to build. So a few of the things that I would definitely like to highlight as I am going through the remainder of these slides are that it's so important to have a foundation for your business. And so in order to do that, you definitely want to have a business plan. And I know that there's classes here at the college. As I mentioned, the BOSS program, that whole certificate program is available, and it covers these business basics that are definitely important for your business. So writing a business plan, naming your business, that's so important. And we'll talk about that here momentarily. The legal structure of your business. So whether or not it's going to be a sole proprietorship or an LLC or a corporation. And then you want to make sure that you register your business name. And then, of course, if there's anything specific to the state that you're in, let's say, for instance, with Maryland, you do have to file your articles of organization. So all of these things, you're definitely going to want to make sure that your structure and your foundation is in place first. We look at it in terms of really like building a house. And so you want to make sure that you have a good structure in place. And then paying and filing taxes, that is definitely something as a business owner that you will have to take on, and then business insurance. So with regard to that and kind of going through the business plan, so some of the things that are important in having your business plan, it's going to be a written description of the future of your business. And so even as a virtual assistant, you do want to have this in place. And so your plan is going to include, just your overall basic plan concept. If you're starting this, then it's okay. I see that with this business, it's going to take, this amount of time possibly to get to X number of clients. You really want to have a strategy and specific actions that you plan to implement with the business. And this is also too where I think the journaling is important, because you want to see the progress that you've made as you continue with your business. The products and services and their competitive advantage. So the one thing that I will definitely say with your business, as you think about it, what are some of the skill sets that you enjoy doing? Those are the things that you want to offer with your business. So those are the types of products and services that you want to think about when it comes to your business plan for the VA. And then the markets that you will pursue. So having a target audience or target market. So if you work specifically in the real estate industry, then you might want to target real estate professionals. If you happen to work more closely with coaches or, authors, then that would be what you would consider as a target market to pursue. the background of your management and key employees. So if that's you, if you're working with someone else, all of that's going to be listed here in your business plan, and then your financing needs in order to start your business. What I will just share with you here on a separate note, that starting out as a virtual assistant can be very, very low cost. If you already have a laptop or a computer, you are well on your way. So I do just want to share that in terms of just the overall cost when you think about that in terms of starting your VA business. But you do want to include in your actual plan what would some of the financing needs be for that. So naming your business. And I always say, what do you want your name to communicate? It's going to be a very, very important marketing tool. You want to choose a name that not only just appeals to you, but also the kind of customers that and clients that you're looking to attract. And so one of the things that we definitely talk about, in the class are some of the things with regard to testing your actual name. So maybe you have, a list of folks that you could say, hey, what are some of your thoughts on this name? And then you could also think about, because it's very important to determine a name that would work for now as well as in the future. So you definitely don't want to limit yourself as you think about the name of your virtual assistant business. So as you expand your business, as you identify more services or products or things that you would like to add to the business, having a name that will support you to do that now and in the future is definitely something that you want to think about with your business. And then the legal structure of your business. By no means am I going to give you tax advice here. We do have instructors and classes through the college with regard to accounting and just the legal structures of your business. But these are the three common ones that you do see: the sole proprietorship, the limited liability company, which is your LLC, and then also the corporation. And there's various different corporations under that third bullet, such as like an S Corp. And I won't go into all of that again. I would say that you would want to consult a tax professional, but just know that these are normally the three legal structures as it relates to your business. Licenses and permits. So I mentioned earlier that, let's say, for example, you are in the state of Maryland, then you do have to form what they consider articles of organization for your business. So you just want to make sure that whatever city or state that you're located in, that you are following up on the necessary licenses and permits so that you're in compliance as it relates to local regulations, because there are also state as well as federal guidelines and regulations in compliance that you do want to make sure that you adhere to. So registering your business name. And this is so important because if you're kind of thinking about a few different examples as you are interested in launching your business, you want to make sure that you have all of that nailed down first prior to registering your business name, especially because some of these costs that you do incur, they do require, as you're registering your business, some of these do have a cost associated with them. And so you want to make sure that you've nailed that down so that you're not changing your business name later and then having to pay an additional cost. So the legal name of your business, making sure you have that on all government forms, application, including your employer tax IDs, licenses, and permits is very important. And then once you've done all of that, of course, you do have to file and pay taxes. And so obtaining your actual federal tax ID from the government through IRS.gov, it's almost like your business has a social security number, just as we do. And that's referred to as your EIN. And again, that's how the IRS identifies your business as it relates to filing and paying taxes as well. And then again, determining your federal and tax obligations. And I would highly encourage you, as you think about launching your business, you definitely want to ensure that you get that tax advice. It's very important that you lay your foundation for your business off on a good foot as you're thinking about getting started. And then once you do all of that, you do want to have business insurance because you want to protect your investment that you have with adequate insurance. And there is business insurance for virtual assistants. It could be a general liability coverage that you decide to use, but you definitely want to have something in place. It's important, just as we think about having car insurance, the same thing you want to think about as well with regard to your business. Home-based businesses will generally want to make sure like their equipment or supplies is insured against any type of theft or damage. So that's the other thing. And then I already mentioned with regard to the tailored insurance policy. So there's like a general liability. There's also a business owner's policy. So there's different ones, but you definitely want to make sure that you have a good foundation and structure in place as it relates to your insurance. And then finally, with regard to agreements, you want to make sure that you have an agreement in place with all of the clients that you have with your business. And this is a way for you to protect not only yourself, but also the client too as well. And that agreement that you have with them is going to define your working relationship, including the services that you're going to provide, the expected working hours, as well as your agreed upon rate. So it's very important that you do have these agreements in place. So this is an overall general just overview of what you would need in order to launch your business. By no means can I cover every single thing in this time that we have together, but I would highly encourage you to consider taking the VA class and getting your BOSS certificates through the college. And I always say the best way to predict the future is to create it, and the road to success is always under construction. So think about those things as you're launching your businesses, that it doesn't have to be perfect, and don't let the start stop you. And so we're always under construction when we think about our businesses. And so if you'd like to stay connected with me, you're more than welcome to do so on social media. But that is the presentation that I have for today. I don't know if there's any questions that are in the chat at all. With doing the presentation, I wasn't able to see that. No? Okay. Does anyone have any questions? How profitable? Great
I don't
question.
have a question, but I just want to thank you for the wealth of information.
Oh, you're most welcome, Dolores. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate that. Dolores, so, or not Dolores, Gloria. So great question. That is going to depend on, how you structure your business, how you set it up, whether or not you're doing it part-time or if you're doing it full-time. It's also going to depend on the number of clients too that you take on. And so these are, some of the things that we definitely go over in the class, but the biggest thing is going to be how many clients that you actually have and whether or not your business is part-time or if it is full-time. That is really going to be the big key or indicator. So what someone's might be profitable for one VA's business might look different than someone else's, because it's going to be based upon how they have it set up and their dedicated time that they spend to it too as well. Oh, thank you, Crystal. Yes, the next class is on. You're most welcome, Gloria. The next class is April the 23rd. It's from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. through Blackboard, and you can contact Crystal. She's put her information in the chat. And as I said, there's so much information as it relates to the whole VA world. I wanted to just provide you at least with an overview today, but we delve even deeper in the actual class itself, when we talk about the overall marketing and branding, and we also go in deeper with regard to the rates. So we actually do some like comparisons. Let's say if you had this number of clients. Definitely wanted to provide an overview today, but we do go more in depth in the class and would love to have you join us in one of our upcoming ones. Any additional questions? Oh, thanks, Crystal. Oh my goodness, yes. I will definitely say that, and going back to at the beginning of the session, when you think about, 5.1 million people submitted their business application according to the US Census Bureau. And we looked at, 55% of that being in the administrative sector. And then the professional services was 38%. And so when you think about that in terms of kind of where you can tap into that overall market with providing VA support. So, my very first client, I was sharing with you all that I got from social media on Instagram, but I've supported a client as far away as Hawaii. And so, you never know kind of where your clients might come from, but that's the whole beauty of the VA world. And the majority of my clients tend to be, which this wasn't my target when I started the VA business, but I normally work with coaches. For some reason, that has been the majority of my clients have been coaches. And so, you just identify, what your target is. There are specific VAs for the whole real estate industry. And so we've had some students that have taken the class that have an IT background. And so those are some of the services that they provide. There's a virtual support that they provide for IT services. And so, one of the things with regard to the class is that you get a chance to hear students with varying backgrounds and just even things that you might not have necessarily thought of with regard to your virtual assistant business. But there's a service that you can actually provide. Like ghostwriting is very big. So even if that's with regard to writing a blog or if it's actual articles, we have virtual assistants that do content writing, ghostwriting. So I always say that, it's endless with regard to the type of roles that you could support. And so that's also the beauty of the virtual assistant industry too as well. And, as you bring on one product or service to your business, let's say if that specific product or service, you don't have as many clients that utilize that, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to remove that from your list of services. You just add another service to your offerings that you provide to clients. And so, it's the flexibility that you have with being a virtual assistant is one of the things that I definitely appreciate and can enjoy. When I started out my business, really didn't have a background as far as like website development or designing rather. And so I actually learned that skill, and some of the platforms that you can use now, like let's say with Squarespace or Wix, or it allows a lot more flexibility that you don't have to necessarily have that coding background, that you can do a lot of drop and just kind of plug in with your website. I actually created, I'm my own virtual assistant, by the way, for my online boutique. And so, I created my own website on my boutique platform that I use. And so, again, I have to say, and I can't stress enough, that the virtual assistant industry, it's endless. When you think about, just a potential that you do have within this industry, as well as the type of services that you can provide. We even had one student that actually did personal services. So she did a different spin on hers, not necessarily virtual, but she would actually run errands for her clients. So that would include, perhaps going to the grocery store or picking up dry cleaning. So again, we just have a lot of what I call creatives that take the class and just really think about, what are some of the things that they enjoy, that they're passionate about doing, and utilizing those skills to launch their business. So any other questions? Well, thank you all again for joining today. It was a pleasure to meet you all, and hope to see you in one of the classes soon. Thank you. Oh, you're most welcome. Thank you. Oh, of course. Thanks for coming. Oh, thank you.